Hey everybody, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Rob's Little Blue Book. Tonight we are doing, by request, enchiladas and with a mole sauce. And because of the weather and the insane snow we have, this is kind of going to be what's in Rob's kitchen enchiladas tonight. So I want to do one thing really quick first before we get into the cocktail. I want to check for sound lag. I've been having an issue with lag on the sound. I have switched back to the mic on the camera, which theoretically should be in sync. So if anybody's listening or you happen to notice it might be off a little bit, just type it in chat. I don't know if I can even fix it right now, but just something I'm mindful of. Okay, so tonight for cocktail, because we're doing a Mexican dish, we are going to do a margarita. I know we've done these before, but I mean it's a classic cocktail and it's really good. So we'll just do it again. Margaritas are super simple. You can adjust these ratios to your taste. However, we are going to be doing the classic tonight, which is going to be 1.5 ounces of tequila. Oh, thanks, Rebecca. Good. I'm glad. I was a little bit worried, and yeah, I'm slowly getting this cam setup dialed in. So this is 1.5 ounces triple sec because I am out of Cointreau. I have criticized triple sec in the past. I'm not going to do that tonight because it's all I have on hand. So there you go. I'm a little bit of a double standard there. Sometimes what you have is really good. So, and this is 1.5 ounces of lime juice, of course. And because this isn't clear liquors, because there's lime juice in it. This is going to be a shaken cocktail. So we are just going to like the ice is already in the shaker here, and we give this about 10 seconds to cool the drink. So by the way, guys, 10 seconds is kind of the point of diminishing returns for shaking a cocktail. It's not going to get any colder after that, and you don't have to worry about over diluting your cocktail by shaking it too long. Once the cocktail and the ice sort of equalize, that's the end of your dilution. So you'll let that sit for a sec to cool a little bit even more. Get a glass going here. I should have rimmed this with a lime, but we'll just do it old school. Get a nice, you guys can see, nice little salt rim there. Some people really like their salt. Consider that probably the best part of the drink. And there you go. Guys, that's a margarita. Probably no questions on a margarita. Can't imagine a drink that is simpler than this. I've been battling a migraine all day, so I know this tastes good. You don't have to put your hand in the fire to know it's hot. So I'm going to take this to Serena real quick because she really likes these. Okay, so that is a margarita, and it's done and in the right hand. So let's talk about enchiladas. Hey Paul, how's it going? I hope you can tune in for a little bit. This one is kind of for you guys, but we're going to talk. We just finished the cocktail, and we are. Sorry, I just realized you can see the top of my monitor here. Oh well. I'll fix it later. Yes, the black line at the bottom of the screen is the top of my monitor. Okay, so enchiladas. First of all, what is an enchilada? That's a really good question. And what's the difference between an enchilada and a taco and a burrito and all those things? So it actually comes down a little bit to language. Enchilar is a verb, and so to enchilada or something is basically, loosely translated, get it covered with chilies. So an enchilada in its most basic form is a tortilla covered in chili sauce, and it's usually fried up. That's it. That's an enchilada. Now, they can be rolled up or not. They can have a filling or not. It's totally up to you. But that's what an enchilada is. That's what separates it from other types of Mexican food that's wrapped up in tortillas. So there you go. Okay, I'm a little disorganized tonight because I'm scrambling to get ready. So let's get this on the road. So the first thing we're going to do is, oh, by the way, let's talk about filling. Tonight, for me, because what I had in the fridge is I'm doing a pork filling. It's right here. Now you could roast your pork if you have time, which I didn't, of course. So I just threw this. I basically just boiled it in water for 45 minutes with some thyme, marjoram, and some onion. Throw in some onion and pork, classic pairing. Now, if pork isn't your thing, or you don't like it, or you don't have it on hand, shredded chicken would be just fine. Same thing. Or you could do. I almost did this. I had some duck. So duck would be just fine too. And if you're in a hurry, you can buy like these confit legs ready to go in the store. You just heat them up and throw them in your enchiladas. So yeah, a couple of ideas. Make the fillings your own. So then you have a sauce, and that's the first thing we're going to do is let's get this sauce going because it takes a little bit of doing here. So I got my blender here. So the first thing we're going to do is, and again, guys, chilies. Let's talk about chilies real quick. Ideally, well, it depends on what part of Mexico you're in. Thanks, Janice. It's all coming together. I've been using these cameras for a little while, but I've upgraded the lenses, which actually makes a really big difference. So I'm really happy with the way it turns out, and of course I can use these for like portraits and stuff. Anyway, whole other topic. We're talking about chilies. So in Oaxaca, you would be using ancho chilies, and we're not. We're here in Toronto, where there's tons of snow, so we're using what I had on hand. So you can use whatever chilies you want. Anchos is a great place to start because it's like a pretty mild-ish flavor that everybody knows. Tonight we are using a blend of pasilla chilies and looks like a guajillo. Anyway, any dried chilies will do. You stem them, seed them, soak them in water to get them ready, and then they look like this. I mostly seeded these, so the heat might be up a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, so let's make our chili sauce here. First thing we're gonna do is I kind of wanted to have something to kind of like up the consistency of the sauce. So I'm stealing this trick from my pesto sauce because I can't have nuts, of course, so I use breadcrumbs. So this is just a couple pieces of toast going in the blender. Now, to get the most flavor out of the ingredients I had on hand, I roasted just about everything. So here I have, you guys can see, these are 5 garlic cloves. I popped these under the broiler until they were that color. I can't remember how long it took. In they go. Same thing. So here's a tip. General. Whoa, it's hot. Not too hot to touch. These are roasted tomatoes. So guys, tomatoes are like umami bombs. There's an incredible amount of umami flavor in a tomato if you roast it. And again, I did the same thing. I just popped these under the broiler for, well, till they were this color. Don't forget them. That was actually my 3rd round of toast because I was distracted. Now I'm going to save one of these tomatoes for something else. So let's go, I'm kind of thinking 2.5 tomatoes is where we want to be. I want some onion. Just look at my onion here because I always have onions. I didn't write this out, obviously. That's probably like a small onion, right? And I'm gonna season this with a little bit of oregano. I got about teaspoon. Call it a teaspoon. So there are other spices. So this is pretty standard. Like this isn't really what makes a mole. Yeah, by the way, this is my simplified mole because, well, for a couple of reasons. This is the mole that I make for people who are new to moles, I guess. A full-on Mexican mole is like, it's like a big savory spice punch in the face. Like, and quite frankly, if that's the first mole you serve somebody, they probably just won't like it. It's can be a little bit of an acquired taste. So this is kind of a pared down mole, and this is what I kind of use to, well, introduce people to moles. So anyway, let's get this on the blender here. I put the blender behind me, so hopefully it's not crazy loud this time. You may want to adjust your volumes. All right, not enough liquid. So we're gonna have to fix that. I'm gonna loosen that up with, what am I gonna loosen that up with? I guess with the pork broth. Okay, so I have, I saved the broth from the pork. That's lemon juice, hang on. Let me scoop it out with a ladle. I have my broth here that I cooked the pork in, so this is gonna do double duty here. And this will just loosen up the mix. Good enough. Okay, so where are we at here? Oh yeah, right. Okay, so I need this. My mortar and pestle here. So these are kind of, well, these are the spices I had on hand, but these are really specific to, well, not Mexican cooking, but this is kind of the blend that you would find in a traditional mole. So I've got about half an inch of cinnamon stick there. Oh, you guys can see. I have 1, 2, 3 cloves. Oh, that's not a clove. That's a clove. 3 cloves, and I got 5 of my favorite canned pot peppercorns in there. These spices go a long way, so you don't need a lot of this. If you don't have whole spices on hand, ground is fine. So pretty much everybody has ground cinnamon and cloves and pepper. Like these you probably have these in your kitchen. Like I know not everybody has in their kitchen what I have in my kitchen, but I feel like everybody would have these. So I'm just gonna like grind these up. Ooh, smells amazing. Again, I keep talking about smell-o-vision, and I really wish I could do that for you guys. Cinnamon is being obstinate here. So I'm gonna strain this. This gets strained anyway, so you don't have to worry too much about getting like. I just want to release as much flavor as possible, but I don't have to worry about big pieces in it. So I'm not going to. This is going in. Okay. And then finally, of course, we were going to put in the chilies. For your chilies for this dish, save a little bit because we're going to use that. We're going to blend that into the filling later. But let's get this going here. Okay. I'm going to loosen that up just a little bit more. Come on. I'm going to have to give this an old-fashioned stir here. I'm thinking maybe 1 piece of toast would be about right. Shut this down for a sec. No, that's not it. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I know it. I know it shouldn't be done. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. So that was a lot more broth than I had in mind to add. But anyway, there you go. So now I'm going to strain it. I'll just put it up here. You can see the consistency is really thick. So we're going to have to push this through the strainer somehow. I seem to have a ton of this. Alright, so just real quick, we're just going to... This isn't quite as hard as... If you keep stirring it, it will run through the strainer. I hope. That's totally not what I wanted. And if you get a little bit, if you get a little bit in your little chunky stuff in your sauce, remember that's rustic. Crazy thick this time. So it's been a long time since I've made this, and I don't remember being quite so thick. Okay, so having said this was going to strain, guys, it is, but it's just not happening fast. Oh, actually, it's going okay. I'm just being impatient. Give me a sec here. If you had a finer strainer, or sorry, a less fine strainer, this one's pretty fine. Probably maybe work out a bit better there. Yeah, slowly going through. You know what would be perfect for this? Yeah, you know, Paul, I was just tempted to just throw it all back in the blender, and it's blended enough. I could blend in some more broth with it, but I think it's going to be okay. Let's scoop all the stuff off the sides. A tamise would be perfect for this. I don't have one. That's the big, like it's some kind called a drum strainer. It's the big round flat one that goes through. Also, I'm only making this for 2, so I don't need a ton of sauce here. But we're almost done. We're almost done. I can press the rest of this out later and save it rather than... Oh, actually, you know what? We're actually getting through it. Okay. Okay. I'm going to call it there. Let's get the stuff off the outside of the strainer. Making a huge mess. Oh yeah, we got tons. We got tons. Okay. And let me just clean up this disaster here. Okay, so any questions so far? Other than probably use a different strainer next time. All right. And so now we want to, and I have the wrong pan. Okay, so now we're going to fry this sauce up to give it a little more flavor. We're going to do that on here. And we're going to use probably this pan right here. Yes, it is a good thing I am going through the towels pretty damn quick tonight. So I'm just gonna, this is a really good lard that I have on hand. So I'm gonna add that. There's always like a lot of lard in Mexican cooking. What do you mean? I just realized I have to have 2 cups of broth to this. This pan's gonna be too small. Okay. Switching pans. Because I don't have enough dishes to do tonight already. There we go. Okay. Which came with the apartment? Okay. Oh, Rebecca, I just saw that. Yes, that's what I was trying to do. But I feel like we got enough here. Not the best yield. Oh, yes, I know it did. It's actually, if you yank on it really hard, it comes right off. But, yeah, what did I should. So again, I'm just going to fry this up in the lard. I want to thicken it up a little bit. Yeah, so we're going to add, so normally, and I'm not going to do this tonight, normally I would add probably about 2 cups of broth and I would let it simmer for about 45 minutes. We're definitely not going to do that tonight because we just don't have time. So I'm going to thin it out a little bit and we're going to super simmer it. And I'll just leave it on the stove while we put the filling together. Yeah. So by the way, the pork broth, and I don't know if you guys can see in the back corner, if I switch cameras, in the back corner of the screen right down there, it looks like, that's the trim from the pork, which I'm rendering into lard, which then I'll top off my lard and keep using it. So again, one of the advantages of buying larger cuts of meat is you get all the fun stuff to play with after. Okay. And again, if you're doing this at home, you do not have to do it over this kind of high heat. You can just let it bubble a little bit. Ooh, smells so good. Okay, I'm happy about this. I'm happy about this. So I'm actually going to switch broths now. Because in the spirit of using everything in my fridge, this is a broth we had from the other night. So remember last week we did the female bacon, and I took all the bones and trim and made this broth the other day, which we've already used for like an udon soup when we got snowed in. And you can just see it's like jelly. So let's see how that much does. So yeah, I'm going to thin it out, and I'll adjust the consistency towards the end. This is going to simmer and continue to thicken up. So, and I'm probably going to add just like a pinch of salt here. Okay, so that, oh wow. So that's not quite the consistency I want. I want it a little bit thicker than that, but I'm actually, oh, I should switch cameras so you guys can see. So there you go. Yeah, and you know, this is, it's been out for a little while too. So I'm gonna hold on to that. When it first came out of the fridge, it was like, almost like butter. Does the mole get better if you let it sit? Not really. As I said, if I was doing this off stream, I would let this simmer for about 45 minutes. But basically this is just gonna get as much time as we have while I do the filling. It's not gonna make a huge difference. And that's also one of the reasons I punched up the, it's one of the reasons I punched up the flavors of the actual ingredients. Like that's why you roast the tomato, that's why you roast the garlic. You can create a lot of flavor that way, sort of in advance. Okay, I'm gonna take a short breather here, get my bearings. And oh, we should talk about the cheese. You'll see when we get to the end, we're going to crumble some cheese on top. Now I happen to have, this is actually queso fresco, the Mexican cheese, which I happen to have a small piece of in the fridge, which is good. But you could also use feta. That is fine. You could even just grate parm over it. So you have lots of options if you just need to throw this together. Remember, we're talking about technique here, right? So you do have the signature sauce, any kind of chili sauce. So we're doing a mole tonight. But you sauce your tortillas, and you roll up the filling, and then in fact, these only heat in the oven for about 5 minutes, maybe, because it basically finishes before it goes in the oven, before it's going to warm everything up. Baked enchilada dishes are not really a Mexican thing. That's more of a American Tex-Mex kind of thing, where you like make a little casserole, put it in the oven, bake the cheese on and stuff. That's not really a Mexican thing. They don't really do that. There's this preparation. There's two other classic enchilada preparations, which involve like frying the tortillas in a little bit of oil and then saucing them and then rolling them. And if you're really interested in that and you really love this enchilada episode, we could probably look at doing that just a little bit down the road. But for now, this is what I had on hand. So, did I say Greek Mexican? Oh no, feta Greek, right? Yes, Greek Mexican fusion. I'm with you guys. Okay, so let's throw the filling together, and we can do that probably in. I'm just going to use every dish we have tonight. We'll do that in this guy. Again, we're going to add some lard. Obviously, like, if pork or lard isn't your thing, you can use any kind of cooking liquid here. Just don't be shy with it, that's all. And as I said, duck would be fine here. You could use duck and duck fat. You could use chicken and schmaltz, whatever you feel like. Nope, not tonight. I'm running out of space. Any other questions before we get into like preparing the filling? So, obviously you don't need to use a non-stick pan here. This just happens to be my biggest pan. So we get our, and again, I just shredded this by hand. I cubed it and threw it in the water with the herbs, and it should be fine. So the other thing we're going to add here is, where is it? Oh, I got some, you guys can see, let's go back to that freaking thing. This is just some little tiny potato dice. You want to cut it small because it's going to cook in here. I'm going to throw in a little more onion. I feel like, as you know, onion and pork are kind of like a classic thing, so let's add some onion in there. And we're going to let this go for about 6 minutes and 55 seconds, just to give a rough idea. And as I said, I'm going to rush this. There's nothing wrong with the American Mexican version. Giant piece of potato. Nothing wrong with it at all. So obviously the pork is cooked here. We're going to add a little bit of color here. Get kind of like a carnitas thing going on, or a super fast version of that. But really what we want to do here is soften the onion and make sure the potato's cooked. I'll let that sit for a sec. Probably don't need to rush it that much. Okay, I'm going to rush it. Yep, just want some heat here. You don't. I'm basically frying it in the lard, which is why you need to be generous with whatever cooking oil you use or cooking fat. You got to be pretty generous with it, because otherwise the potato won't cook. You need it to conduct the heat to the potato. And that's the other reason I cut it into a 1/4 inch dice, right? I mean, I guess another option, if you were in a hurry or you just wanted to have it more ready to go, you could blanch the potatoes, like cook the potatoes in water first and just throw them in. Lots of ways to do this. Remember, it's the overall technique that makes it an enchilada, not so much the specific ingredients. Yeah, I kind of feel like I want a little more fat in there. Obviously, this is not a low-fat dish or a low-calorie dish. Also, if you don't have good lard, like that you got kind of at a farmer's market or a higher-end grocery store, don't use tender flake or anything like that in this dish. Tender flake is okay for like pastry and stuff, but I wouldn't, actually I wouldn't use it for pastry either. Just don't. It's really easy to get good lard now, and it's really easy to make your own. It's a totally different animal, quality lard, you know, it doesn't even taste, it's not the same, I was not going to say not the same animal, but it is technically the same animal, but you get the idea. We got here 3 minutes left. I think we're doing pretty well here. I like the color I've got going on here. So to this, to make the filling a little more, ooh, I know, I totally missed the pun. Yes, Sabrina, you could. You can use the cooking fat of your choice. I could use peanut oil and do the same thing here. If I was doing chicken, I would do it in schmaltz. If I was doing duck, I would do it in duck fat. Now I know not everybody has duck fat in their fridge, but yeah, you could use, I mean, I wouldn't use olive oil because it's not really the right flavor profile for this, but any other, like peanut oil would be fine, canola, vegetable oil, whatever. It's a little too high heat to use like butter, so I wouldn't use butter. And you can see we have some great color going on. Yeah, and you guys can see. So the new camera, I'm pretty happy with that, guys. Hope the lens survives. I have a protective filter for it coming, but it's not coming till tomorrow or the next day. Anyway, not for you guys to worry about. Okay, and I'm going to let this go the full time. I thought we might get done a little bit faster, but we're not going to. In the meantime, what we want to do is, so the other tomato is going to get added to the filling here, kind of make it get a little more nicer texture. So we're going to take this tomato here, and we're going to take our leftover chilies. Can you guys see the blender? Yeah, you can, kind of. And we're just going to give this a blitz. Working with both hands here. Okay, pretty happy with that. Let's see if this is blended up enough. And I give it one more. Okay. I'm going to add this in. I'm going to take the heat down in just a sec. Let's get down now. It's pretty hot. Okay. I'm just going to give this a mix. Hot. get everything. I see everything's like kind of nice and coated there. There we go. Okay. So I'm actually going to turn that pretty much off while we do the next step. Okay, so that's preparing the filling, and as I said, whatever you choose, whatever meat you choose, whatever protein, it's all going to go exactly the same way. The potatoes will be fine. The onions will go with everything as well, and of course the sauce is the same. Okay. Now I'm going to assemble. Ooh, that is really hot. Assemble this. Okay, now tortillas. Let's talk real quick about tortillas. These are white corn tortillas, and I did not make them because this is the one place you really don't want homemade tortillas, because they're just not sturdy enough for what are we making? Enchiladas. So these are store-bought tortillas, which I got at a little Mexican market near us, but they've been on the top of my fridge for like 2 weeks. They keep a very long time, so don't be afraid to stock up. So I'm stirring our sauce back here. Let me just show you guys the consistency we're at. So we're at a really great consistency already. So does it need to go 45 minutes? Who knows? It's not going to, but I'm pretty happy with the consistency. This is how you drag, when you drag the spoon through, how it just kind of closes up. That's about where you want to be. So that can actually turn down. Now, to warm up tortillas real quick, we are going to put them between 2 layers of paper towel. This is probably the only thing a microwave is good for, aside from telling time and being a timer. So I just want to damp this. Hang on, give me a sec. So you can see, just damp paper towels on both sides. This is going to go for like 60 seconds, 55 seconds maybe. And then we're going to assemble the dish. It's also worth saying at this point, as I'm piling dishes into the sink behind me, when I'm cooking on my own, I don't cook this way. I don't pile dishes into the sink. If I turn around to put something in the sink, I'll usually wash it right away. You always have time to wash your dishes, like always. So, and then when you get to the end of your meal, I can't tell you how much nicer it is to get to the end of your meal and just have to clean the plates that you ate off. Like, it really makes a big difference. So, just a tip. I haven't mentioned that in a little while. That's what I do. But what I do, both on stream and when I'm regular cooking, is prepare my meats the way I do for stream. So I will generally have, unless I'm showing you guys how to cut something up or whatever, I'll have everything prepared in little bowls. I'll lay out all my ingredients. It is just way less stressful that way. And the other thing too is, which I can't do on stream, is I listen to, I have a playlist of 80s ballads that I cook to. Well, it's not just 80s ballads, but it's mostly 80s ballads. Whoa, shit. Really hot. But I can't play that on stream, of course. So let's see how these guys did. Probably a good idea to wear gloves if you do this part. It's really hot. Also, there's a garbage over there. I'm really good at hitting it. I'm not just throwing shit on the floor. Excellent. Okay, so now let's put this together. Now, as I said, this is not we're not going to bake this in the oven forever. We are going to put it back in the oven to heat it back up. And I'm going to try and get about 6 of these guys into this little dish here. Obviously, if you're cooking for more, you need a bigger dish. Sorry, I'm just stirring the mole sauce. And I'll bring this out just so you guys can see here too, because I need to taste it, check it for seasoning anyway. Another, as I said, like, it's a little bit different when you're cooking for, like if I'm just cooking for Serena, I'm not so worried about dipping my finger into something, but if you're cooking for company or people that you don't know, especially in these times, taste with a spoon. Yeah. It's got a little bit of kick. Okay, that's definitely medium kick. Tastes amazing. It does need a little bit of salt, so I'm glad that we took the second here to we just want to brighten this up just a little bit. I usually use kosher salt for seasoning. This is like my expensive sea salt because I don't have any kosher salt. I ran out, and as I said before, we can't get out right now. I did find my car. I did find my car yesterday, which was good. And it only took about 45 minutes to get it out. Okay, and let's just taste that again and again. I don't remember which spoon I used, but switch spoons. Like, I'm just doing this because. Yeah, and so just that little pinch of salt made a huge difference. So this is one of those things that I don't want to say novice cooks, but people who don't cook a lot don't do as much, and it's such an easy thing to learn. I'm going to run through it again. I've said this a million times before, but in order to learn to taste your wow, it's staining everything. In order to learn how to season your food to taste, it's super simple. Go to the store and get Campbell's no sodium broth. It doesn't matter whether it's chicken. Chicken's the easiest, but it could be vegetable. It doesn't really matter. But the important thing is it's no sodium. And the other important thing is that you use the liter size, because the liter size kind of represents a serving for 4 people. Warm it up, boil it, then keep it at a simmer, and taste it. Taste it without any salt in it, and it tastes terrible. It tastes like mud. It's gross. And then slowly add salt, a little pinch at a time, and taste it each time until. You'll see it'll brighten up, and at some point it's going to taste too salty. But now you'll have a spectrum, and if you keep track of how much salt you put in, it's really quick to really get an excellent grasp of how much salt to put in a dish, just from that simple exercise. So, okay, that's my rant on salt. Let's put this guy together. So we're going to take a tortilla. We are going to take some filling. I have no idea how much. I'm thinking that looks about right. What do you guys think? That might be a little much. Woo! Shit. And we're just going to roll that up. And he goes in here. And we're not getting 6 in here. There's no way. We're going to get about 4 in here. Seems. Oh, and let me switch to the right camera. So that's, you guys can see. Okay, great. So seam side down. And I love that the smell of fresh corn tortillas is just amazing. I make it, this is probably more than necessary, but since I'm only making 4 for the 2 of us right now, I'm kind of going a little heavy-handed on the filling, perhaps. 2. Definitely gonna have extra filling. I feel like that's about right. This one's really full. And any other questions before we? I mean, I'll have a second to answer questions. I mean, I always have time for you guys, but you know what I mean. I'm going to. This is going to go in the oven. I got the oven on around 350, and this is just going in for 5 minutes. It's just to warm everything up. Kind of bring everything up to the same temperature, maybe let the flavors blend a little bit, although that's a lot of time that's just bullshit. That's what I always say when I'm behind or I need more time to do something. I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna let this cook down for the flavors to blend. We're gonna build some flavor here. I'm just gonna fry this a little bit longer to build some flavor, add some color. These are all really useful BS terms to make people think you actually know what you're talking about. I mean, I do know what I'm talking about, but you know what I mean. Okay. So I hope you guys can see this. We are now going to sauce this guy up. And probably not going to ladle this. I'm going to use this guy, which I want to clean. Give me a sec. I just don't want any chunks in my sauce, so give this a wipe down. And just want this across the top. It'll, as it in the oven, it'll run down over everything. Looks good to me. I hope it looks good to you guys. And this is going in the oven. For 4 minutes and 44 seconds. Now we're going to top this with a little bit of onion. And I'm going to take this brief moment in time to crumble up this crumbles basically just like feta. Just want to make like, we're going to spread some crumbled cheese on it. This cheese by Queso Fresco is also awesome to have on hand for tortilla soup, which we made the other day, which is one of Serena's favorites. And this cheese keeps a fair while, so you don't have to worry about using it all up for one dish. Kind of feel like that's about the right amount. Although you really, I don't feel you can have too much cheese, so I'm going to add just a little bit more here. All right, and then we are going to count down the timer, and then we'll serve it, and we'll do a little taste test and see how everything is. Knives and forks. Yes, tortilla soup. Add another beer here. So any questions, guys? I know it feels like we kind of ripped through it. A mole sauce is not the least complicated thing you can put together. But it's not that complicated either. And my traditional mole, which I haven't made in a very long time, like the ingredient list, I said this at the end of the last stream, the ingredients list for that one is just so long. It's totally worth it, but that's more of I'm not gonna make a mole on a weeknight, guys. Like, that's a celebration dish. That's if you're having 8-10 people over. Well, whatever the current indoor limit gathering is. It's a festival dish for sure. Totally worth the effort, but not the kind of thing I'm going to throw together on a weeknight. I mean, I might. I don't know. All right, we got 2 minutes before the taste test, so if you got a question, throw it out there. I'll put this together in a second. Oh, you know what I'll do? Nobody reminded me. Pop the plates in the oven. Those are going to be hot. That oven's 350 degrees. So somebody remind me not to use my bare hands. And I think we covered just about everything I wanted to cover tonight. So, I didn't write up this recipe on the card. It's pretty straightforward, and if you look up any sort of simple mole recipe, you'll get a rough idea. As I said, the enchiladas a technique thing, and enchiladas are good. Like the other recipe I have, which I quite like, it's super simple. I don't even put a filling. I just fry the tortilla in some oil and roll it up in the chili sauce, and it's delicious. Corn tortillas are just an amazing thing in and of themselves. Okay, I kind of feel like we're ready here. I'm gonna do this one plate at a time. Yeah, those are hot. And I'm gonna put that over there. Serve them up one at a time. Now the real question is, that's hot, how to get these out. Kind of feel like this is the right thing. We'll see. That's one. There we go. We're good. Okay, hang on. Let's top these guys so they get a little queso fresco on here. I'm not going to top these with raw onion because Serena's not a huge fan, but we'll do mine that way. So there you go. Food cam real quick before this one gets passed off. And then I'll come back and we'll do the taste test. Yeah, it's hot. Okay, it's always so bizarre when I go to drop the food off to Serena. It's like a glitch in the Matrix thing because there's a significant delay in the stream delivery. So, where'd my plate go? Ooh, hot. So as I'm going in to put the plate down for Serena, I can look at her screen and I can see me just sliding off screen to go deliver it. It's very strange. Okay. Okay. Little cheese on here. And again, you can play around with toppings. I do like a little raw onion. You could also top this with pico de gallo, wouldn't be wrong. Whatever you got. Okay, any questions? That's the dish, guys. It's really hot. So let me dig in here. Yeah. That's really good. Even for a simple mole that this is, it has incredibly complex flavors. Pork is a nice consistency. Sauce is about right. It's not super spicy. It's got a little kick. And a lot of that will depend on like which chilies you use. So if you're using anchos, which would be a little more traditional. It's going to have a little less kick. Yeah. Really, it's really good. And there's something about just incredibly comforting about corn tortillas. Okay. So, we have covered what I wanted to cover tonight. Very happy with it turned out. Thank you, Janice, for the suggestion. I have not made enchiladas in ages. Excuse me. So yeah, very happy with the way that turned out. And again, this would be an amazing with a shredded chicken filling, duck, whatever you had going on. I wouldn't use beef. I don't think beef's right for this, but anything else would be fine. So, there you go. I'm going to hang around for just a couple seconds for questions. But that's what oh, we should talk about next week. So is there something you guys want to see for next week? I'll throw that out for a couple of seconds while I eat some more of this. Yeah. Chicken adobo? You mean like the Filipino chicken adobo? I can do that. That's super simple, but it's super tasty. I used to make that all the time. So we can do that. Why not? Chicken adobo is a fantastic weeknight meal. Super tasty, wicked easy to prepare, very savory. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's what we're doing. Love it. That's actually a recipe that would be in the Little Blue Book, but Shireen's not a huge fan of it. But I'm happy to make it for you guys. So, one of my favorites. And it's one of the few dishes that actually reheats pretty well. So, if you have a lot of it, it's good the next day. Oh. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. I have used just about every dish I own, so I'm going to log off and start cleaning up. But again, I love doing this for you guys. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you next week for chicken adobo.